Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. This is going to be the first season of Discovery video that I go over, dealing with our talents and our runes. There's not that many options. We're only going to be capped at level 25. Shouldn't take too long to get through these, so let's get into it. Starting off with the first tier, this is PvE only, not talking about PvP in this one. So we have one option, Improved Wrath. So we're going to reduce our cast time by 0.5 seconds for Wrath. Nature's Grasp is a root. We're going to be in an instance, and raid roots aren't going to be a thing, which means there's no point in getting Nature's Grasp or Improved Nature's Grasp at all. For tier number 2, we've got kind of the same situation. We've got Improved Entangling Roots, can't root, don't need to put points in there. Improved Moonfire though, I imagine we'll be using quite a lot, and it also buffs some other new spells that we're going to have with our runes. So some decent value from Improved Moonfire. We're going to fill that out so we can get down to tier 3. Because natural weapons is melee damage, we're not going to be meleeing, no point in getting that. And unless you're helping off-tank something somehow by shifting to bear form, or you're switching to cat form to dash, or I don't know why we would be switching into feral form. But at this point, no point to have any points in natural shapeshifter to save mana. So since we didn't get any points in natural weapons, we cannot get Omen of Clarity, but back in Classic, this only procced off of melee attacks. So no Omen of Clarity for us, which leaves one option again to get our 5 points to get down to tier 4. We've got Improved Thorns, increasing our Thorns damage by 75%. Maybe it helps with our tank's threat if your tank is having issues. If people are pumping, at least this could help out. And then we'll have a little bit of extra range with Nature's Reach for our Wrath, Fairy Fire, Moonfire. And since this affects Moonfire, it's going to affect those spells in our runes. We're almost there. Leaving us with 1 point left since we're at level 24 with these talent points. So we can either choose Improved Starfire to reduce the cast time of Starfire by 0.1 whole seconds and has a chance to stun the target, but bosses in raids can't be stunned. This could help for trash, sure. It is great to have that stun proc. Great for leveling out in the open world. If you're trying to solo something, have that stun on a mob is huge. But strictly for Black Fathom Deeps, I would put that last and final point into Vengeance. We're not going to have high crit rating either, so this doesn't have that much value, but there's really no other place to put it. Now I know what you're saying. We could get some stuff in the resto tree. Talk about that really quick. Improved Mark of the Wild has a little tiny bit of value, 35%. Increased effect from our Improved Mark of the Wild, which at level 25 is going to give us one more stat and a tiny little bit of armor. So you could justify not having Vengeance, not having Thorns or Nature's Reach, and throwing 5 points into there, and then you would have 1 point to put wherever you could have a little extra reach. So I would probably put it there because the second tier in the resto tree is not great at all for Boomy. We're going to get 0 value. I would just go for Improved Healing Touch myself. That's what I used to do back in Classic. And then we can select from Insect Swarm, which we've already got tons of dots. Adding another one wouldn't hurt, I guess. In order to get down to Insect Swarm, we would have to get rid of all of our Improved Moonfire, which is helping buff a few of our spells, which I don't really see how that would be a better option just to get down to Insect Swarm. Then we could also get Reflection and have a little bit of mana regen while we're casting. Don't think we'll have much issue with mana regen with how Wrath is going to interact with a rune, so we can leave this to the resto druids. Now that I've got my points back into what I plan on using, we can check out the runes. The runes we have are going to be Star Surge for our pants, Fury of Storm Rage for our chest, and Sunfire for our gloves. Star Surge, I believe, was a 2-second cast with a 15-second cooldown, which means it might be a 1.5 second cast if it's benefiting from our Improved Wrath. That's the only way I can see it really having value. I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly it was on the alpha, but if it's got the same cast time as Wrath, probably going to end up choosing to cast Wrath instead of Star Surge. Wrath has no cooldown, costs no mana, and with the chest rune, it will have a chance to proc an instant cast Healing Touch, which for open world I can see it being useful. Maybe a 5-man dungeon if you've got a solid team with you in there and you don't need much healing, or an emergency off heal, you can have that proc on standby. But Fury of Storm Rage, huge rune. We could never be called Umkins again because we'll still be able to cast while we run out of mana. And while you're casting Wrath for at least 6 seconds, you'll get that out of combat mana regen. So if you go casting Star Surge, Sunfire, Moonfire, Fairy Fire on multiple targets, then you can recover and regen with this rune. And lastly, we've got Sunfire, our glove rune, pretty much like a Moonfire, but it does nature damage instead of arcane damage. No cooldown on this one, it's instant cast. You can multi-dot with it, reposition during the GCD. Just got to be careful because sometimes mobs in Classic were immune to nature, but if they're immune to arcane, then we'll have Sunfire to use instead. If Star Surge ends up being unused, then we could change our Pant rune to Skull Bash so that we have an interrupt. Hopefully that interrupt works on bosses. The more I keep thinking about Star Surge, the more I'm wondering if it's actually going to have a place in our rotation at level 25. So this was just first thoughts of our runes that we're going to have at 25. The ones that seemed very obvious that they were for the Balance Druids, but maybe we could somehow take advantage of some Feral for some trash AoE damage. Since we have no AoE, we don't have Hurricane until 40. We don't have Moonkin until 40. So for now, I feel like we're kind of weak. But once we get to the next level band, I think we're really going to start to shine. I know a lot of people might be looking at the Balance Druid and say he should be a hybrid and be a Restokin, or half balance, half resto, and be sort of like an off healer. I don't want to heal. I've talked about that a little bit with Griff. If you want to check that video out, it should be up here on the screen somewhere. That's it for this one. I'm super stoked to get into Season of Discovery when it comes out November 30th. I'll see you there.